Hey, what's up YouTube? Alex here, and in this video, I'm gonna be explaining sports betting strategies from low risk strategies to high risk strategies. So at this point, I mainly use higher risk betting strategies. I've been gambling for about 5 years, so I'm pretty comfortable with variance. I mean, there are days I've been down over $15,000 and it doesn't really bother me that much. I have a very long-term focus, but it was very different when I started sports betting. I didn't have a lot of money. I just graduated from college and I wanted to, try to build my bankroll. I wasn't comfortable with losing a bunch of money in one day. So there's pros and cons to low risk, medium risk, and high risk betting strategies. And that's kind of what we're gonna be going through in this video. So let's start out with low risk betting strategies. And the easiest money you are ever going to make while sports betting is gonna be from promos, from discounts. I mean, all of these sports books are in a war, right? There's hundreds of sports books in the US. They're all competing for new customers. So a lot of these books, they run promos, they run discounts to try to lure people to their specific sports book. So for example, here's a promo. I mean, it literally took me 10 seconds to lock this bet in. I saw it on Twitter that this was available. I went over to Fliff and I locked it in. Sean O'Malley to land one strike in the UFC was boosted to plus 100 odds. So basically you're betting 100 to win 100, 10 to win 10. So immediately I locked it in. That's basically a free $10 bill. Sean O'Malley was a huge favorite to win the fight. The probability he doesn't get at least one strike is probably below 0.1%. So this is basically a free $10 bill. And again, these promos, they may seem rare, but if you're using a bunch of sports books, they're more common than you think. So on Fliff, there's been tons of these no-brainer promos. They all have a max bet size of $10. Fliff is a book that's legal in basically every state, but there's been tons of these promos, basically one a month. And, I always log in, place the bet. It's a free $10. It's the easiest money I'll ever make. Patrick Mahomes to record one passing yard. Obviously that's gonna happen. That's a free $10. So I've done videos about sportsbook sign-up bonuses, how to hedge them against each other to make a risk-free profit. So all of these sportsbook sign-up bonuses, I mean, all of these books, right? Basically when you sign up, they're gonna give you an $100 deposit match. Bet 5 to win 300 on FanDuel. There's a bunch of different promos. They're all a little different, but when you kind of go through them, and I've done videos on this YouTube channel, you can turn most of these promos into risk-free cash by just hedging your bets. So again, promos, promo conversion, discounts, there's a lot of opportunity. When I started sports betting and I didn't have a ton of money, I made the majority of my profits from these discounts and especially sign-up bonuses since I didn't use any sports books. So when I was signing up, I spent a bunch of time learning about how to convert these promos into risk-free cash. And ultimately that's what I did. And in the US, sports betting, there's different sports books that are legal in every state. So when I started gambling, I was living in Pennsylvania on the Pennsylvania-New Jersey border. So basically what I'd do is during a weekend when I was off from work, I'd go over to New Jersey, and if there were any new sports books that had launched, because tons of new books were launching in New Jersey, I'd look at their sign-up bonuses, take advantage of the promos, and I was able to make probably $10,000, $15,000 pretty easily just taking advantage of sportsbook sign-up bonuses when all of the books initially started to launch in Pennsylvania and New Jersey once sports betting was legalized in the US. So promos, discounts, sign-up bonuses, easiest low-risk money you're gonna make sports betting. A lot of these promos are legitimately free money, free $10 bill, free $20 bill, and a lot of the sign-up bonuses, you can hedge them to turn them into risk-free cash. And again, there's a ton of videos on this channel kind of going through that. So the second low-risk betting strategy that I absolutely love, I love this strategy. It's called arbitrage betting. And especially when I started gambling, this is all I was doing, arbitrage betting. Once I made $10,000, $15,000 through the sportsbook sign-up bonuses, converting them, I spent the majority of my time building my bankroll through arbitrage. So this is a sharp, data-driven, proven strategy. I spent a ton of time researching it before I kind of dove into sports betting, and I was always fascinated by it. And basically, arbitrage is risk-free profits. When two sports books get super out of sync, and this is all possible because every sports book sets their own lines. So when two books have vastly different odds, they get super out of sync, you can hedge for a risk-free profit. So you're essentially day trading discrepancies in the sports betting market. You're pinning two books against each other to make a risk-free profit. So it's an amazing strategy. Again, you'll see tons of people talking about it on social media. And all you need to be a great arbitrage bettor is you need to have multiple sports books. So again, when you're arbitrage betting, you're hedging two bets. You're betting equal and opposite outcomes on two sports books to guarantee a profit. So if you only use one sports book, this isn't possible. Ideally, you use as many books as possible because you don't know which sports books are going to have the best arbitrage bets on a given day. Sometimes there's a ton of opportunity on DraftKings. Other times it's Caesars, BetMGM, Fliff. So again, ideally you use as many sports books as possible if you want to be a great arbitrage bettor. So when sports betting legalized in Pennsylvania, I signed up for every sports book that launched in Pennsylvania. There were over 10. Bet Parks, Sugar House, DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars. There were tons of sports books that were launching. I signed up for every one. And every day after work, I would get home and I would hunt for spots where two books were so out of sync where I could place the over, bet the over on one book, the under on another book, and make a risk-free profit. So, again, this is a great betting strategy because it's low risk and you're making risk-free money. If you're doing it correctly, you're fully hedged. Every day you're gonna, every arbitrage bet you lock in, you're gonna make $10, $15, $20, $30. It really depends. Some days when there's a lot of sports going on, the arbitrage plays are juicier, higher ROI than, maybe during baseball season. But especially now, when there's so many books in the US, all these books are trying to set their own odds. So the market is super inefficient, super fragmented, and there's a ton of sports going on. NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, NHL. There's so many sports and so many books. There's tons of inefficiencies in the market where you can essentially day trade these books to make a risk-free profit. That's arbitrage betting. And again, I've done videos on this channel breaking down arbitrage, going through a bunch of examples, kind of going through how to get started arbitrage betting. So as I started to, grow my bankroll in a risk-free way and make some pretty good money with sign-up bonuses, traveling to different states, taking advantage of no-brainer discounts on sportsbooks, and also arbitrage betting, I started to get comfortable with the idea that, hey, these sports books are actually pretty beatable. If you put in the work, you're not buying picks, looking for locks, you're not doing any of that BS. If you learn data-driven, sharp betting strategies, you can actually make a lot of money because there's now tons of sports books in the US and the market's super inefficient. All these books are in a marketing war, so there's a lot of promos and a lot of them are pretty juicy, pretty lucrative. So I started to look for other ways to make money. I didn't want to miss out. I wanted to maximize my profits. So the next thing we're going to go through is medium risk tolerance betting strategies. And I'd say there's two that fall into this category. So the first one is also sportsbook promos. So I just went through how some of these sportsbook discounts and promos are literally free money. You can hedge them to make a risk-free profit. Some of these sign-up bonuses, some of these discounts, Sean O'Malley to land a strike, Pat Mahomes 1+ passing yard, Luka 1+ point. That's literally free money. Some other promos like sportsbook odds boosts, parlay profit boosts, they're not completely risk-free, but they're super profitable. They have a positive ROI. So I've done videos on odds boosts, how to go through the math behind odds boosts and figure out your edge, which ones are actually profitable, as well as I've done videos on profit boosts, which I'll link to. Profit boosts basically are you put together a parlay. There's oftentimes some requirements like, oh, your parlay needs to have at least 3 legs. And then the sportsbook will give you a boost, maybe 30%. So if your parlay comes out to plus 1,000, it'll go up to plus 1,300. So again, I've done tons of content breaking down how to determine which sportsbook promos like odds boosts and profit boosts are profitable. So I recommend watching that. As always, comment any questions you have. I'm always happy to answer. I live for this. I love sports betting, and I love, kind of making content about data-driven, sharp sports betting. The second strategy I put into the medium risk tolerance category is middle betting. So middle betting, I love this strategy. I call middles the low risk lottery tickets of sports betting. So essentially, all sports books, I said this earlier with arbitrage, they all set their own odds. So again, arbitrage is when 2 books have such different odds that you can hedge for a profit. You can day trade their discrepancies and make a risk-free profit. So that's arbitrage betting. Middle betting is basically when 2 books have such different lines that you can bet the over on one book, the under on another book, and hope for the rare window of opportunity. So I know that may be a little confusing, so let's go through an example. So this was a play I locked in on the FSU quarterback, DJU. FanDuel had his line at 193.5 passing yards. Fliff, another sportsbook I used, was way different. They had him at 209.5. So you have a 16-yard gap between these sportsbooks. So what I did is I bet the over 193.5, the under 209.5, and essentially I'll pay the vig. I'll lose a little bit of money if he throws for 150 passing yards. I'll lose the over 193.5 on FanDuel, but I'll win my under. So when you're middle betting, you're placing 2 bets. You're always going to win at least 1 bet. So again, that's why I'm putting it in the medium risk category. You may lose a little bit of money, but you're never going to lose both bets and lose a lot of money. However, if DJU throws for exactly 194 to 209 passing yards, then I'll win both bets. And that's actually exactly what happened in this specific scenario. So middle betting, you're betting the over 193.5, the under 209.5, and you're hoping that the quarterback ends up with 194 to 209 passing yards, which is more likely than you think, right? Like DJ, he's not going to throw for 1,000 passing yards. He's not going to throw for 0 passing yards. So players in general follow a relatively normal distribution around where their line is centered. So long story short, middle betting, these middles, they hit more often than you think. Long story short, that's the best way to put it. So yeah, those are the 2 medium risk tolerance betting strategies that I love to use. So at this point, I mainly use higher risk betting strategies, which we're kind of going to go through. And again, higher risk in general means higher returns. So you can see in September, I made over $70,000. This was my best month sports betting this year, but I still had days where I lost $5,000, $7,000. So when you're using these higher risk, higher return betting strategies, there's going to be variance. You are going to have losing days, but you need to trust the process and kind of track your results over a few months. Because again, the only way you're going to make money every single day sports betting is if all you're doing is arbitrage betting and taking advantage of super low risk, no-brainer promos like we went through earlier. And there are people who do that. Right? There's people who just arbitrage bet. They have all green calendars. They make a few $1,000s risk-free every single month with arbitrage betting, and that used to be me. But there's a lot of sports books now, I call them fantasy books, like PrizePicks, like Dabble, like Better, and these books are super lucrative. I mean, you can see on Better alone, I'm up over, $70,000 this year approximately. So that's a lot of profit that's contributing to my net profit. But on Better, you can't arbitrage bet. And the reason you can't arbitrage bet is this is a parlay only sportsbook. If you go to Better and you try to bet only one play, they tell you, hey, to submit your entry, you need at least 2 picks. So these are parlay only sports books. So arbitrage betting isn't going to be possible because when you're arbitrage betting, it's straight bets, right? You're placing one bet on the over, one bet on the under. It doesn't work if you have to parlay the outcomes together. So long story short, that's kind of why I started getting into these higher risk betting strategies, is I loved the money I was making from arbitrage betting, but I saw a lot of books popping up where arbitrage betting wasn't possible, right? So I'd say there's 3 high risk betting strategies that I use nowadays. And again, higher risk isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means there's going to be some variance. You are going to have some losing days. So the first higher risk betting strategy is DFS apps, right? Parlay only sports books like Better, like Dabble. And again, these are books I've had a lot of success on. I've done a lot of tutorials on PrizePicks strategy, how to make money on Better, how to win on these DFS books. But again, you're placing parlays, so there's going to be more ups and downs, right? I'm not hedging my bets. The second strategy is called positive EV betting. And again, I've done a ton of tutorials. I'll link to them in this video on positive EV betting, kind of the math behind it, how positive EV betting works, kind of everything you need to know about it. So feel free to check those out because nowadays, again, I'm comfortable with variance. I'm fine losing some days $15,000. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but there are literally days I've lost $15,000 this month, but I'm still up on the month, right? So again, having a long-term focus is really important if you're going to use these higher risk betting strategies. But regardless, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe to the channel, and comment any questions you have. I love making data-driven, sharp sports betting content. So if I can help out with anything, just drop your questions in the comments. And again, thank you so much for your time.